Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
The problem is me, the solution is we. The problem is me, the solution is we. I feel like a background singer. Anyway, I'm on a goofy one today. It's Monday. We're allowed. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. You see, I got in here quick today. Wasn't a whole bunch of playing around out there because I'm so, well, divinely so. Our guest for today could not be here. He's an attorney and something came up. So that's it. You know, whenever that happens, you know who I call. Oops, look up there. The postage stamp just changed. You're going to get another healthy dose of vitamin D grant today. He's here, but I got to put the RPXP thing back up because it is the RPXP week 2 of the takeover. Even though Milan could not be here today, he is coming back. I think it's December 11th, I told him. We'll let you know as we get closer, but I think it's December 11th. But the rest of the week will be RPXP attendees. So, but today, it's still kind of the RPXP takeover because I was there. So I guess I'm like the guest today because you know who else is here? D. Grant Smith, you're here. Listen, we're going to talk today about things that we are doing or not doing. What are you doing? What steps are you taking to truly practice your way into finding your higher self? And I used to say highest, but suddenly since that retreat, I now say, and not just that retreat, the succession of things that have happened, you know, through seeking, through just all of it since that retreat, I changed it from highest to higher because I don't think there is a highest. For some reason, I'm beginning to believe it just keeps going and going and going and going. So anyway, before we get all into it, how the heck are you?
Well, I'm doing fantastic, and I was excited when I got your text message this morning of, "Hey, I had a cancellation. Want to join me?" I'm like, "Ah, that's
Why
not something
not?
that's not something I expected to experience on this 30th of October." And it
Right?
got cold as crap last night in Texas. I don't know
Same
if you.
here. Frost, everything.
Oh, geez, it's like 31 right now, and
Oh, that's even colder than here.
really.
Oh yeah, I brought everything in, all the cushions off the deck. I'm battening down the hatches.
Yeah, well, I brought in wood to build fires and stuff this week in case. Well, see, here's the crazy thing, and maybe this is going to happen to you guys too. Typically in Texas, we have the craziest kind of wintry seasons where one week it's frozen and then the next week it's 80. And literally, that's not like hyperbole to say, one week it's like this and the next week it's way different. No, like that's the way it actually is. And sometimes it can happen within like 24 or 48 hours. And you're like,
Yeah,
what the crap is this?
yeah.
So this time next week, next Monday is going to be 80 degrees. No lie.
That is so interesting. It is. Okay. Well, stay warm, D. Grant Smith, and you all out there. I see you out there. Say hi from wherever you're at. Let us know where you're at. Where you're watching from if you can. I see some of you are watching from unknown platforms, but we love you anyway, and we're glad you're here. So today, this is an interactive and immersive experience. I really want to hear from you guys. Sherry McQueen, I know you should chime in today because you do distance Reiki, and I've actually taken a session from Sherry. Robert Brooker, I know you're all over the place, always all up inside all these different places, and UD Grant and the rest of you. And here's where I'm getting, where I'd like us to go today. And I have a clip that I can show a part of. I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing because that was in case you couldn't come. So I was trying to take up as much time, right? That was the floor show. Let's put it that way. That was the floor show. Oh, you guys say hello, Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. She's here today, as always. Say good morning, Lucy. There's so much out there. Seriously, when I was looking for what I want, the clip today, I was like, well, I don't want to be, the same old stuff. Because now when I go in there, I'm like, what's this? I'm sniffing out everything. And there's so much. 5 ways to make sure you engage your this. How to this works fast. Do this meditation and you will be talking to your ancestors. Ooh, come in here to the Akashi Records Hall and we will show. I mean, it's just all this stuff. And I was kind of sharing with you when we were backstage that it can be a bit overwhelming, between the overload of opportunities. You see how I said that? Opportunities. But then this is the thing for real talk. No bullshit. We got to know how can all of those things be. I'm not saying what they're talking about isn't right or isn't true or isn't available, but I can't believe that we should just reach for every little thing and automatically pour it into our souls, our soul space. There must be some type of vetting or some litmus test or you know what I'm saying? And just now that I am actively seeking at what I feel, I'm back to Helen Kellering it like I've always done, just feel my way into what is right for me. I'm already experiencing things, D. I kind of mentioned to you backstage, like where you kind of get the feeling when you talk to some people when they're trying to explain, this is what I do, this is my thing, and you need to get rid of that and replace it with this. It's a lot. It's a lot. So tell me, do you know where you're at in your seeking your higher self? I mean, do you have a plan, D Grant? Like, I want to learn Reiki, or I believe in energy healing, or maybe I have these gifts, or I'm gonna go over here and go on a retreat or a pilgrimage, or I'm gonna go to ayahuasca. I mean, it's so much.
Yeah.
What
I am going to do ayahuasca eventually.
I am too, eventually.
I've got a friend that has been working with his shaman for a little over a year in Mexico, and he's given me an invitation to come down and do that. So that's going to happen at some point. But no, you're totally right. And it's not, I think it's not just there's so much in this spiritual community to like be open, or to open ourselves up to, and see like, okay, there's all kinds of different, it's like getting to a crossroad where there's not 2 lanes you could choose from. There's like 2 billion, and they intersect with each other in a variety of different points. But to answer your question about do I have a plan? Yes, in a way. But here's the thing. Since we're all individuals, and it's kind of like that 2 billion road pathway, there's going to be some things that I'm doing that are going to be similar to the stuff that you might do, Loren. But there's going to be some things that are going to be different. And embracing the uniqueness of that is a big part of it, because my higher self is connected to all that is, because that's what God is. God is all that is. And so all that is interconnected, but yet it's at the same time, the paradox is it's also individual. So
individual.
So 2 things can be true at the same time. It can be all inclusive and also completely unique and similar, unique unto itself, and different. And that's part of the brilliance of it. But I had an experience last September where I forget who it was that there's a couple of key teachers that I follow on YouTube. And so when they do their teachings or whatever, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try this out for myself.
Yeah.
And the suggestion was just get into a quiet place with a journal and a pen and ask your higher self specific questions. And there were some specific things that I wanted to know. So I wrote those questions at the top of the paper. And then I just said, okay, I don't know what to do. Answer these questions for me. And if you've read Neil Donald Walsh's book, Conversations with God, that's exactly the experience that I had. I started getting this channeled message, and I just started writing it down, and I was doing my best to keep up with what was coming to me. And I know it wasn't me making it up, like with my imagination, just trying to play along as though I was having this spiritual experience. I really felt God speaking to me, higher self speaking to me in this very specific way. And when I got like 4 pages done, and this is the way I write too.
Yeah.
It is the way that I know that God is right, that I'm writing God's channeled message through me. I got to the bottom of the page, and the last line said, "That's all you need to know right now." I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. They talk to you like that. I promise you that happened to me. And thank you for sharing that, because I still today, people, you've been on a coaching session with me where all of a sudden I'm looking at you, but my hand is moving, and how the stuff that will write it down specifically, underline, the way they'll separate the paper, and you've seen it. So that scribeness, that becoming a scribe, I know that's a gift. I know that. I don't know if it's a gift as much as just a way to communicate. I don't think it's a gift. I think it's just an opportunity. It's a lane that's available to all of us. That's what I get the feeling anyway. But in the 80s, right around the Apology Accepted time, when I went to the NLP and the hypnotherapist, and she told me to see myself in People magazine, and it happened, and all of that. Right in that time, it had already happened. I'd had the dream and everything, and I was gonna try to this was leading me to her. That's right. And I was suicidal. And I said, okay, I've got to get organized. I gotta at least act like I have a plan, like show God or whatever, because I was so mad at God. I didn't know anything about spiritualism yet, nothing. And I was using my organized religion mindset. And I said, and I went to the roof, D. I did. I went to the roof of my apartment building in my bathrobe. Figures, bathrobes, a theme. And I was, of course, naked underneath, and I, drama queen, took off my bathrobe. I was like, look, I'm speaking. This is the day that it became greater than for me, and not just God, because I was mad at God. So I said, I got to believe there's something better than God, because I can't stand his ass right now. And you can't strike me down You could, but you shouldn't because you're the one who said, come as you are. So I'm having this dual conversation. And I said, so I'm talking to, and I listed all the names that I could come up with. Allah, Jehovah, God, Christ, Jesus, Holy Spirit. I had a list. And I said, so whoever it is, I'm talking to you. I am telling you, I am giving it 1 year to this day. And if I don't know without a shadow of a doubt that there really is something in this world, that all of this crap that I've been made to live is worth it, then I'm out of here. I will take my chances with the unpardonable sin, suicide. I'll tend the hounds at the gates of hell. I was getting really smart mouth. I had a real smart mouth. I kind of do too still. But I was like, I'll be a lifeguard at the lake of fire. All the threats that my religion, which was Seventh-day Adventist, would use. You'll burn in a lake of fire, and I'd be a lifeguard there. Fuck it. I was that mad. And that was when it started happening, because I found out later, as long as you can scream, you can sing, you can whisper, you can do whatever it takes. You just have to ask. You have to seek. And it started coming. And then I saw it next day. I came down. I said, 1 year from today. I said another thing. I'm scary. Don't come like in the Bible, Samuel. Oh, Samuel. Or some apparition or something. Because I'll crap myself. Then I'll die from a heart attack. And then we'll be back to square one, starting all over. So figure it out. I don't know how you're going to prove it to me. And it was apology accepted. I had a dream. I went someplace that I didn't believe in, NLP. She said, see yourself in People magazine. She told me I was going to start having these dreams. And it happened. And so I promised you show me that I will never question again. Okay. But back to your thing with the writing. I was standing there. So the first thing I said, get organized. So I got a whiteboard, a big one, right? I mean, it was the kind you could flip. It was like the kind you pull out like an old chalkboard, like they use that are on wheels. So I started, and I thought I was going to make a giant calendar, make the squares. And as soon as my dry erase marker hit that thing, my hand took off. And it said, Dear Loren, you recently said that because up on the roof, I said, this is my final lap this year. Final lap. I'm sick of this race, right? And they said, you recently said that this was your final lap. Underline, underline, underline. It indeed can be. But for this race, you must come inside. Come inside yourself if this is truly to be your final lap. Da, da, da. From the beginning, there have been things that do not serve you, which have wanted to see nothing more than your existence uprooted. But the only power that they have ever had, underline, 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 is that power which you give them. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And it went on and on and on. And then at the end, like your thing, it said, welcome, Loren. Welcome. Like, finally, you're starting to look. And when you ask, or you're starting to ask, and when you ask, some way we will answer. But you can't. It will come in ways, D, that our rational minds or our religious-based mind or whatever will say, that didn't just happen.
Yep. Oh, for a second there, I thought it was a dramatic pause, but I see now that it's the freeze frame of... All right, you're back, Loren. Oh, you were. Internet connections. This morning is brought to you by...
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to just fill the time and say, this morning is brought to you by Bigelow's Cozy Chamomile Tea. For your cold Mondays, when the weather changes all of a sudden, warm up to a nice cup of cozy chamomile.
We like cozy. So, okay. Here, let's do this. So that writing thing where it was like something speaking to you because it signed off at the end. It signed off.
So
did that to me.
So this is how I know when so I go for walks a lot and I have conversations. I want to have conversations with God, with higher self. I'm learning how to discern between the voice that speaks to me as my higher self and the part of me that speaks to me as the imitator, the ego.
Yes.
And because for the longest time, I've heard the voice of the ego thinking that was God. And then, it's saying, well, these people are going to do this to you and this is going to happen. And then none of those things have ever happened. And I was like, well, why would God tell me something's going to happen that doesn't happen? Well, because it doesn't fucking know. It's making shit up as it goes along. And, but my higher self, right out of the gate, every time will call me by my first name, which is David, and will tell me, I'm so proud of you. You're doing such a great job. And I'm like, well, if I'm doing such a great job, why do I feel like blah, 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 blah?
Right.
Like, because you can't see it yet, man. But trust me, like things are so much better than you realize that they are. And I'm like, I want you to, and I'm doing the same thing you did on the ledge. I'm like, I want you to come down and have this experience where you can see through my eyes and see how up this stuff is. Because how am I supposed to have a good attitude? And how am I supposed to be this light into the world when like I can't figure out these things and I've been trying so hard for so long and it's not working? And like
earnestly trying.
Yes.
I
And
know.
like changing everything in my life and like having relationships that I thought were like super close suddenly just disappear. And like, not that they went to hell, but like just totally like come apart. And not being able to do anything to change that, or if I'm trying to change it, I'm trying to fix it, then I'm still going in those old patterns of codependency and people pleasing and all that stuff, things I've been moving away from.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that came through in the response that my higher self gave me was like, I asked him specific questions about like how. Actually, here's what I was doing. I was asking my future self, how do you approach relationships? How do you approach job? How do you approach money? And the answers were very simple. It was, I love myself more than anyone else. And that's why I have the most happy, healthy, whole relationships with everybody, especially with my partner. And I'm detached from outcomes. I'm not interested in outcomes. I'm only interested in the moment. God
That's
is
a hard one.
Yeah, God is the source of my supply, money, and provision, and it comes in easily and effortlessly. And I'm like, so what does that mean about like job stuff? And I've spent the past year like walking through and embodying and taking on this different way of consciousness that was given to me a year ago last year. And so much change and transformation has happened in my life. I thought that I was going to be able to make this shift like in a month. And that's maybe some people.
So you
can do
actually had a time frame.
I typically have time frames because I want to hurry up and get there.
See,
And that's the other thing that my higher self was like, dude, the process is the most beautiful part of this whole thing.
Exactly.
The journey of this whole thing is all about the journey. Like, love the journey. It's so beautiful. Like your desire to get to this destination is what's causing you so much pain. The destination doesn't even matter.
And
The journey is the best part.
What you said earlier about now. You don't have you're not running ahead if you're in the now. Because there's but you gotta find what's for you in it. And that's not so easy for a lot.
No, it's not. But what's also interesting is, and I mean, Loren, you're one of the catalysts for me in my story because what was it, 2-3 months ago? You and I sat down and had a conversation, my very first coaching session with you. And you and I hadn't really talked about some specific things. And I don't want to get into the specifics of it, but like in a moment, you identified something that was very personal to me and that I hadn't shared with a lot of people, hardly anybody. And you just like what you said a minute ago about like the people that pinpointed certain things to you, and you're like, okay, there's something here that's beyond just my mind.
You just instantly know.
And when you did that, and when you pointed out to me that like you don't feel like you're good enough unless you have this in your life, that was such a wake up call to me, because I've spent this whole year putting these program things together talking about confidence. And here I was, not being my full self, not operating out of confidence, but not having any awareness that that was what I was doing. And when you said that, it was like my higher self saying, hey, man, I've been trying to get your attention about this for a long time, but I had to have somebody else tell you because you wouldn't listen to me.
Yes. Yep. And I'll tell you something. For me, the more I've found that I'll be used in that capacity, it happens at a greater rate based on just my experience for me that I've kind of watched. It seems anyway that the more I allow people to speak what they've been shown, I think it's all about that log and splinter reference biblically. Don't point to the splinter in someone else's eye if you haven't addressed the log that is in your own. And so that has helped. And as far as that dual voice thing, excuse me, I went through that. I'll never forget it. It was early in my sobriety, and I was leaning into the fitness thing. I was easing that direction. So I was running at night. And I remember I was like, how do I know which one of these, why did these voices both sound like me? Why can't one of you sound like something else, or this, and the other? And I had my liar experience for 24 hours. I heard it for 24 hours. Your ego, everything that is your ego that you speak, that you would say out loud, you're not going to be able to say it out loud. It's only going to be in your mind, in your head, like you thinking. Higher self, we're going to speak out of your mouth. So every time you ask, and I forgot I was running that night. It was 10:57. It said I'll never see 10:57. It was, and it said 24 hours. Go. And because I looked right, I had my phone in my hand, and back then you had to plug your headset into the phone. You didn't have Bluetooth ones, and I was running. I always kept one out because you're running. You want to hear at night, and then so anyway, I'm going. I forgot all about that thing, about the liar thing. Until the next day I got to work because I live alone. So I wasn't talking out loud or anything, which I do though, but I didn't. And I got to work and I remember I looked over and in my mind, I said, oh my God, did she really wear that dress again? In my mind. Wait, I had it reversed. My ego came out of my mouth. They stayed in my mind. And so I was like, oh my God, did she really just, and it came out of my mouth and everybody looked and I was like, and then I was like, oh shit, I forgot. And that came out of my mouth. They're like, you forgot what? And then I was like, trying to not talk. And then I heard in my head, so this is going to be a game changer. And I was like, fucking straight it is. And they were like, fucking straight what is? Oh my God, D, I lasted till barely lunchtime. And I think I left and went home a half hour early. I feigned illness and went home. And I was afraid to go anywhere. But I had the conversation back and forth for the rest in a controlled atmosphere. And I went and took a nap and got up. I overslept and I got up and I started my run early. Here it comes to the end. I'm running and I was like, because I didn't want any interaction, not even on the phone with people, because it was not as easy as you would think to reverse it. So I'm running, one ear in, one ear out, and I tripped on a piece of sidewalk where a root had grown underneath it and it was raised. And I tripped and I went, oh shit. Right. And it was in my mind. I thought it was going to come out of my mouth. I thought I was speaking, but I was like, wait a minute. You haven't cussed at all. And that came, and then they were like, and I looked at my phone. It was 10:57. And I was like, it's over. It's over. And from that day forward, I hear ego for what it is, because it's that frequency. It sounded the same, but it didn't resonate the same. You see what I mean? Like if it were a vibration, my higher voice, if it were vibration, it felt different than when my ego, I might have to put a stethoscope on it to get the same vibration. It wasn't coming through as clear once I asked, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, okay, did any of you go with that, struggle with that about, I hear this thing, but is it me or is it okay? So here's a little something so that we'll have something to, we're halfway through the show already, but here's a little bit of that. Let's watch a little of this and then stop it and then talk about it and then maybe go back and forth, play it by ear. Let's just see. So this is called Signs You Are Merging with Your Higher Self. Found this on YouTube, you guys. Take a listen.
It's easy to lose sight of our true selves amidst the chaos. We often forgot the importance of living for ourselves, living a life that is fulfilling and is filled with all of the things that make us joyful and allow us to live a life of purpose, whatever that looks like for us. In the world we inhabit, it's easy to get caught up in the collective currents, to project our desires and fears onto the world around us. We find solace in following familiar trends and patterns, seeking validation from others, instead of taking our own unique path. But deep within each of us lies a connection to something greater, something transcendent, our higher self. It is through merging with this higher self that we unlock the keys to our own inner wisdom, purpose, and fulfillment. As we begin merging with our higher self, something profound happens. The opinions of others fade into the background, and our focus becomes laser sharp on achieving our life goal. We become detached from external judgment and embrace our own truth. Is at that moment in our lives that we're ready to listen to our intuitions, the gentle voice within, which shows the way when we are ready to face everything. The journey of merging with our higher self begins with our awakening to the profound truth that we are the creators of our reality. No longer bound by the expectations and judgments of others, we find the courage to forge our own path. Each one of us carries within a divine spark, a unique essence that yearns to be expressed. We now open the doors to self-discovery and self-expression. We no longer fear standing apart from the crowd, because we understand that our authenticity holds the key to unlocking extraordinary experiences. The call of our higher self leads us to seek experiences that resonate with our soul. We yearn to taste the beauty of life in its purest form, freed from the limitations of conformity. We find joy in exploring uncharted territories, discovering hidden passions, and embracing the richness of our individuality.
Yeah.
Another sign that we're connecting with our higher self is when, on the path of merging with it, we encounter a profound transformation, an inner journey of self-acceptance and embracing our true nature. It is here, in the depths of self-discovery, that we uncover one of the most beautiful signs of merging with our higher self, accepting who we truly are. We realize that we are divinely created beings, each with our own purpose and unique gifts to offer. We release the need for comparison or judgment and begin to see the beauty in our own reflection. We acknowledge that we are both a tapestry of strengths and weaknesses. We recognize that certain aspects of our life experiences may elude our complete understanding, and that's okay. We surrender to the mystery, trusting that the answers will unfold in divine timing. Merging with our higher self allows us to embrace our imperfections and perceived flaws, for we understand that they are part of our unique journey. We no longer strive for an idealized version of ourselves, but rather we cherish the beauty that arises from our authentic and imperfect selves. We honor our life because, with its ebbs and flows, has shaped us into who we are today.
True.
The ups and downs, the triumphs and tribulations, all have contributed to our growth and evolution. We honor every twist and turn, every joy and sorrow, as valuable threads in the tapestry of our existence. Merging with our higher self grants us the wisdom to recognize the limitations of our own efforts. We understand that not everything can be forced or manipulated according to our will. Instead, we learn to trust in the inherent intelligence of the universe and allow life to unfold naturally. We are now in peace, Releasing the need to force things brings us a profound sense of it. We no longer struggle against the current, but rather we surrender and flow with the rhythm of life. In this surrender, we discover a harmonious dance between our intentions and the divine orchestration of the universe. We no longer succumb to the pressure of instant gratification and the desire for immediate results, because merging with our higher self made us learn the precious art of patience. We understand that life unfolds in its own perfect rhythm, guided by the divine intelligence of the universe. Patience becomes a virtue that we cultivate with grace. We learn to surrender to the flow of life, trusting that everything happens in its divine timing. Instead of forcing our will upon the world, we align ourselves with the natural ebb and flow of the universe. Just as the delicate flower unfolds its petals at the tender touch of dawn, we awaken to the truth that growth and transformation are sacred dances, choreographed by the cosmic rhythms, and cannot be hastened by the impatient hands of time. You know, you are connected with your higher self when you discover the profound wisdom of embracing the present moment as a sacred gift. In this state of profound awareness, you release the chains of past regrets and future worries, allowing ourselves to be fully immersed in the exquisite tapestry of the here and now. In this harmonious union with the present, we relinquish the need to constantly yearn for what lies ahead or reminisce about what has passed. We realize that the true essence of life resides in the eternal now, and it is within this infinite canvas that we paint our most vibrant and meaningful experiences. Through mindful presence, we cultivate a deep sense of gratitude for the simple miracles that surround us. We find solace in the whispering leaves of a tranquil forest, solace in the soft glow of a setting sun, and solace in the quiet stillness of our own being. Each moment becomes an opportunity for spiritual communion, an invitation to immerse ourselves in the divinity of existence. As we merge with our higher self, we shed the layers of fear and doubt, and we find the courage to stand tall in our truth. We no longer seek validation from external sources, for we recognize that our worthiness emanates from within. With every word we speak, every action we take, we honor the sacred truth that resides within us and share it with the world. In doing so, we are not imposing our beliefs on others or engaging in ego-driven debates. It is just a gentle and compassionate unveiling of our deepest insights. As we merge with our higher self, we understand that expressing our truth is not always easy. It requires us to face our fears, confront our insecurities, and step into the vulnerability of being seen and heard. Yet it is through this courageous act that we find liberation and empowerment. We become liberated from the shackles of conformity, societal expectations, and self-imposed limitations. We become empowered by the knowledge that our truth has the power to ignite transformation and create ripples of change in the world. As you recognize the signs of merging with your higher self, a newfound sense of empowerment fills your being, and the world around you takes on a vibrant hue of infinite possibilities. You now stand at the precipice of a magnificent chapter in your life. Embrace the knowing that you are now capable of achieving anything your heart desires. The merging with your higher self has unlocked the reservoirs of strength, wisdom, and creativity that reside within you. You are a conduit of divine energy, a vessel through which miracles can unfold. Thank you all for being on this.
Wow. I guess we were going to watch, though. I don't guess. I know we were going to. Boy, we were meant to. That was really compelling. See, and it speaks to D. Graham. I want your input on what you saw, and you guys as well. I remember at the beginning, I was saying there was so much. I didn't know which one to choose. So I had to surrender and just ask and say, will you please lead me to the one we need to see, hear, feel, experience? And I just want to say this about surrender, and then we're going to get to what Deed got from it and what you guys got from that. My definition of surrender is literally falling in love, knowing that no matter what, if it gets to feel like it's overwhelming, too TOO hard, too TOO anything, If that word is not at the end of a sentence where it is inclusive, room for you too. Come on, I want you here too. If it moves anywhere else, I immediately throw my hands up and fall in love, which is source. Everything that is greater than me, angel, whatever is going, I know that it will catch me. I know that I am home. I know that I am safe no matter what. And I think a lot of us, when we hear falling in love, we think romantically.
Mm-hmm.
But falling in love for me is the definition of surrender. Just, and understanding that love has got me. And so anyway, that thing about merging with our higher selves, here are my takeaways. Ready to face everything. That was huge for me. Merging with higher self, doing your best. I kept hearing that, it can seem like such a challenging thing to adhere to and understand all the things we just saw in that wonderful clip. But when you do your best at the end, when you take your last breath, as long as you have really done your best, you've won. You've earned your way to what is next. So that living outside of the frame was another thing that came to me when they were talking, when it was explained to me, Loren, it's time for you the reason I want to know more and do better with this merging with my higher self is because I heard, Loren, you're ready to come out of the frame. Step out of the frame and look at the entire picture, that tapestry that's been created around you thus far in this journey. And in order to see it, you have to come out of the frame, or you're just going to look at everything that's hanging across from you on the wall, opposing wall. But you got to come out and face what's in the frame. And then finally, when it said triumphs, tribulations, did you notice nowhere in there did they ever refer to anything that didn't work out as a failure?
Mm-hmm.
They never said anything was a failure, because that meant that if you see anything as a failure, it means that it didn't serve a purpose, and everything serves a purpose. So that's what I got. What about you? What did you take from that?
Well, that was the most perfect clip you could pick for this whole conversation, because everything you shared and everything that I shared earlier about our previous experiences was encapsulated in that moment. And even stuff that I didn't say, like stuff I'd forgotten to include, including patience. One of the things my higher self told me was patience is one of my greatest tools. Patience and trust are the greatest tools in my toolkit. And I was like, because they both go together so perfectly. Without trust, patience is just you sitting around waiting for something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And what you described a second ago about surrender, like some of the biggest blessings that have happened to me in my life have come because I stopped looking for them. I stopped, like, I was seeking, but I was seeking from a place of fear, like, and kind of like anxiety, like, is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one?
Yeah.
And my higher self was like, if you would just surrender and let go and trust that I'm going to bring this to you in the best way at the right time, everything's going to fall into place and you don't have to be looking anymore. And then that's exactly what has ended up happening. So but I see also even in that instruction is the trust factor. If you would let go, talking to me, if I would let go and trust that just like what you said about falling, like a trust fall into love.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's taking place. And I'm seeing it more and more now. I'm able to see it more and more clearly, like looking back over this past year, actually, because this year I've been saying this year has been the most challenging year of my life, and it has, but I'm so thankful for it because the transformation that's come from what I've experienced this year has been monumental and like quick, actually. Me being a timeline person, like, the shifts that have taken place have been huge. The opportunities that have taken place or that are taking place are really fantastic. And the people that are being brought into my life to join into the stuff that I'm doing and to, co-create transformation with me is magnificent. And what you were talking about earlier about the religious kind of mindset stuff.
Oh yeah.
Part of my churchy experience was also knowing, like, it was really ingrained in me from a very young age. You need to know what's going to happen before it happens. You need to
Yeah.
do all the things to prepare for certain things to take place so that you're in control of the process. But all
Yeah.
of this trust stuff is like, no, dude, you get to embrace the process and enjoy the process, but you're not in control of it. And you don't know what's going to happen. You can, like, imagine it, feel it, do all of the manifestation stuff, but then allow it to unfold instead of trying to be in control of how it happens.
Exactly. And and perfect segue, because it's right here written down. You'll see the word manifest right there. I am learning more and more every day that that it feels more natural. It feels more purposeful, and speaking of patience, the coaching program is P3, purpose, passion, and patience, because that's the hardest piece. But I am learning that it's important to manifest broadly, but to trust specifically. You see what I mean? Because it's dangerous to trust broadly.
Mm-hmm.
That's why so many people end up smelling like soot, because they've been burned, because they trusted broadly. So manifesting broadly is like, I used to aim. I'm going to throw my pebble of purpose and hit that beach across the country. Now I don't shoot for the beach. You've heard me say this. I shoot for the horizon. So I'm manifesting more broadly, but I am trusting specifically. You see? And that's why I don't pray specifically, because praying is really manifesting. You know, because I could be praying for what's not going to serve me. It isn't what I need. I pray for whatever I need in this day to assist me in finding the road where I can merge with my highest self. Now, I never said it like that until after watching that clip. So that's my new way of expressing the seeking that I'm on. So I want to say this too. Like when I said the thing about falling in love, remember, my litmus test of purpose is that it works in both directions always. Full of meaning, meaningful. That kind of thing. Now, you can fall forward, like when you cross a finish line, and you just are so excited, oh my God, or you rush, your spouse or someone you love comes home from a deployment in the military. You fall into each other's arms, and that's a celebration, that's a victory. But also, people can grieve and fall forward because it's just, oh my God, no, or backwards. You can fall backwards flat on your face because something has punched you, but you can also fall back like when you fall into bed. Oh, I'm so exhausted, but it's so great. I got it done. And you just fall backwards, and in slow motion bounce on the mattress. So you see, purpose, falling in love is both ways, no matter if you're celebrating or not celebrating yet. In both directions, you're still falling in love because you are exactly where you need to be. And that's what I was going to say coming home today. I was going to put it in a post and I forgot. I heard myself say, I heard my greater self say to me, I choose to go. No, I choose to grow. So I choose to know. And the moment I understand that it's time to go and find where I can give it, how I can use it, where I can find more of it. And that's what I'm on. That's why the topic today about doing whatever we do, but really being purposeful with it. And I'm learning too, it's not something that is so easy to be patient with, because it's there. You hear something, a siren calling you inside of something. Say it's Reiki or meditation or NLP or whatever it is. There's something in there you need, but you got to be patient. So what do you got, D? I saw you doing a lot of writing.
Oh yeah, man. What you were just laying down was so good. I'm going to be meditating on this stuff, because what you said about manifesting broadly but trusting specifically, I think is just brilliant wisdom. And one of my favorite bands is Stone Temple Pilots, also known as STP. But you just gave a new acronym for STP, which is Surrender, Trust, and Patience. And so that's part of what I was writing down. I'm like, the the trust part being such a big factor in this, because, and this is something I think Lori was talking about how, so much of the world trusts and or focuses on the world. The whole thing about that, and that's kind of a phrase that was used a lot in church too. The way my understanding and my interpretation of that is, our culture and our society gets us to focus so much outside of ourselves into believing in only what is going on around us as being the ultimate truth. And that's the only thing that we can trust, when the opposite of that is actually true, because we create from within. Whatever our conscious state is, this is part of, God working in us. Whatever we are conscious of and whatever we are believing and holding to be true, that's what we're seeing reflected in the world out here. So the world out here is more of a mirror than it is the actual cause. The cause is what is taking place from within. And this is something else that I've been learning over the past year. My physical body is not the all of me. We all have an ethereal field that surrounds us, that is, Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it, your energy field.
Yeah.
And so our energy field
Definitely.
is our soul and our higher self all encompassed. And so our body, this part of us, is actually inside the greater part of us. And we are interacting with the world in different ways and with different people. And our energies are what's actually interacting more so in a lot of ways than what our physicalness is. Just like right now here in this moment, our energies are interacting with each other. And if I believe that everything that's outside of my energy body is the ultimate reality, then I am allowing myself to be programmed by the matrix, for lack of a better term. But the reality of the situation is, when I awaken to see that the God force is inside of me and inside of my energy field and doing the creation part from within, everything outside of me is actually very malleable. It's the clay in the potter's hand, but the potter is myself and my spirit and my mind and my heart. And through the process of feeling and imagining, all kinds of things can take shape. I don't get to, from this point, I don't get to be in control of when or how it happens. That's not my job. That's the greater, higher self part of me at work that's doing that and orchestrating everything to happen exactly the way that it's supposed to at exactly the right time, outside of my individual ego, like whatever control.
Yes.
And that's the way that it works. And there is trust in that, there is surrender in that, and there's patience in that for the win.
I agree. And the last thing I want to throw out there today before we get out of here is, I just wrote this down, and this was important to me because part two of what I'm about to say, this is where I feel I'm at now. But I remember a long time ago, during the years of my addiction, when Greater Than kept reaching in and just talking to me straight up, just like as if it was standing right in front of me. And I know for a fact that one of the main issues for a lot of people is that they're afraid of dying. They think they're afraid of dying for whatever reason, before their work is finished, just because they're scared about what's next, if anything, all that, whatever. Most people that are afraid of dying aren't afraid of dying. They're afraid of living. You see, they're afraid of living, because I remember when they came in the essay and said, hey, if you could have everything that we've ever shown you in your mind, that you could manifest, if you truly wanted it, if you could have all of that and more, and all we said you had to do was to die for us, would you do it? And I went, yep. And then I said, last question, same deal. We give you everything, but all you had to do was live for us. As soon as they said that, I started thinking, well, wait a minute. Does that mean I can't watch porn? Wait a minute. Does that mean I can't, gamble? Does that mean I can't? And before you know it, I hadn't answered at all. but I thought I was doing something with, yeah, I'll die for you. And they're like, no, anybody can do that. It's those who are willing to live for this. That's what people think is the easy part. It's neither hard nor easy. It just is. And so when you look at it, it works in both directions. Afraid of dying? No. Really afraid of living? Just like a lot of people say they don't know how to say no. No. Sometimes you just don't know when to say yes. Never look at that side of the lane of the table. So I'm beginning to believe in my journey, personally speaking, that my goal is to die to ego so that I will be able to remain living within purpose. Because purpose is the continuum. Purpose is the infinity. So my goal, I believe, is to die to ego before my body dies. Die as much as I can to ego so that I can live next, whatever is next, even further within purpose. That is would make perfect sense for the thing that moves forward, they say, which is our soul. Ego and soul, ego is like a barnacle. It's like a bunion riding or attempting to ride on the soul.
Well, I think that's a perspective. I'm learning about oneness and entertaining the idea and asking my higher self, like, is the ego really the enemy, or can the ego be on my team?
That's a great question.
Because what I'm understanding from different other teachers that talk about how the ego is the part of us that was given to us to survive back, generations and generations and generations ago.
Yeah.
When what it was that we, when we were running from saber-toothed tigers, or, like just surviving on a day-to-day basis was the only thing in the world that mattered. And that survival part of us is a part of our inherent nature.
Yeah.
But there's there, especially, we've got so many mechanisms now in our lives where, like, core survival of, just being able to eat or not getting killed by, a wild beast is not something that we're wrestling with like we were before.
Right.
But that survival instinct is still trying to do things to keep us safe. And it's coming from, if we can allow ourselves to think, my ego isn't actually trying to harm me. It's trying to keep me safe. It's only doing what it knows how to do in this very basic monkey brain, lizard brain, survival mechanism format. It doesn't have the higher operating system.
Well, think about it. If we didn't have ego, it wouldn't be as exciting and fun and challenging to strive towards merging with your higher self.
Yeah. And so,
it kind of pushes me. It's almost like a coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, get out there on the field. Push it all the way across the one line. What are you, crazy, you wimp? Get in there. There's no crying in life. That kind of a thing. I see what you're going. I see where you're going. And so many people are probably right now watching this or on the replay arguing. Nope. The ego's the enemy. Does that? Well, you know what? I say this. I count it all joy. Just like trauma. They would think, a lot of us think that's the enemy. But you know what? I tell audiences all the time when they start yelling out, especially bigger audience, oh, we're so sorry. Because a lot of places with the bigger audience, they'll show my gold cast first. And people will feel all sorry for me by the time. Well, I told them, quit playing that thing. Because it wasn't meant for that. Don't cry for me, Argentina. How bad could it have been? It didn't feel good. No. It wasn't right. Maybe no.
It's a great place for it to freeze up right in that moment.
Led me to this divine moment right here with you. When all the things, think about all the stuff that you've gone through. It led you to where you are right now in this moment at 8:59 a.m. on this Monday morning. It led us all right here. And I've been a lot of places that I would have traded a body part to be here than when I was there. But I still have all my body parts. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. And I'm still here nonetheless. So we're going to end on that. And Dee, thank you, man. You're meant to be here because every time you come, we have a great, great time. So thank you. We'll see you on the next one. And you guys, same thing applies to you. When you're here, we have a great, great time because together we're fulfilling that promise that where two or more of us comes together. This is what happens. The spigot is just wide open. The pump is primed, and we are pouring into each other and not from an empty cup. So get out there now and take some of this overflow and give it away. Pour it into someone else's cup so you have room for someone else to pour back into your very cup. The reason people can pour into you is because you're constantly pouring into them. It works in both ways. It's called the two-way feed. Take that with you. Have a divine day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. D, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
You guys, RPXP back in the house tomorrow. Be here. Miss Rebecca's here. I'll see you. Get out there and be the best one you can be. Find a little piece of your higher self. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye, D.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Oh, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind. But you